Hi, this is Tom Painter. I'm the founder of the Money Made Easy Academy and Foundation. Now, the question is, how do I get started investing? I really don't know how to do that. So I'm going to teach you how to do that. Now, remember, here's $1 million. Now, every one of you is going to make and spend $1 million in your lifetime. The key is to do the 5 steps. Step number 1, get out a piece of paper if you would please and write these down. Step number 1 is to make money. Every one of you are going to make and spend $1 million in your lifetime. Many of you are going to go through 2.5, 3 million, 5 million. Mike Tyson made $300 million and he declared bankruptcy because he didn't understand the 5 steps. Step number 1 is to make money. Step number 2 is to separate, sort, to systematize what you want to do with your money. Step number 3 is you got to give some of it away to the churches and charities of your choice. Number 4 is to save and invest, and 5 is to spend the rest. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to teach you the simplicity of investing. I'm going to teach you about the stock market because there's so much noise out there, but it really is very, very simple. The stock market is made up of companies that you can own and you can be a part of. McDonald's, for example. McDonald's sells hamburgers. They have expenses and they have income that comes in. As they make a little bit of a profit, that goes towards the corporation. You can own a little bit of McDonald's. You can own a little bit of Apple. You can own a little bit of Nike. You can own GM. Now, you've heard of the S&P 500 and the Dow 30. What's amazing is I've taught this all over the world. Very few people understand what the S&P 500 is or the Dow 30. It's very simple. The Dow 30 is 30 companies. One computer company, one software company, one car company, one food company, one from each of the different industries. And so if he says the Dow's going up or the Dow's going down, well, it's just those 30 companies. The S&P 500 is the one we really want to watch. The S&P 500 stands for Standard & Poor's. It's a company that McGraw-Hill, the publishing company, they simply track the 500 biggest companies in the United States. Those 500 companies are all over the world. Companies like Coca-Cola, and they're all over the world, and they're very, very large. And you can own a little bit of all 500 of those companies when you invest in the S&P 500. So you have 4 different choices when you start investing. Number 1, simply invest in the S&P 500. The second way you could do that is to pay a professional money manager or buy a mutual fund. The problem with a mutual fund is that you're going to be charged money to hire a professional to manage that money for you. That could be anywhere from 1% to 3% with the different fees. And so if you bought $100,000 worth of stock here on the S&P 500 and it went up, say 6%, if you have very little fees or no fees, but you did the same thing over here and it went up 6%, but you had to pay 2% of that out to the professional managers, you just lost about 33% of your upside. So there's different ways to be able to do that. Number 1 is just buy the S&P 500. In fact, the S&P 500, if you just said, I want to invest in the largest companies out there, the 500 biggest companies out there, it outperforms about 70% of the professionally managed funds. And over time, very few companies outperform the S&P 500. I mean, if you're going to bet on a group of companies, bet on the biggest ones, right? Now, the third way to do it is a company that I love, that you can have Warren Buffett manage your money. This is a wonderful book by my friend Robert Miles called 101 Reasons to Own the World's Greatest Investment. I highly recommend you buy this book. You can get it on Amazon or even on eBay. And I've got 3 of Warren's autographs. I've had Warren invest our money because when you simply buy the Berkshire Hathaway stock, you own a lot of companies that Warren Buffett and his team have picked. So you can buy the 500 biggest, you can hire a professional manager, or you can simply buy one stock, which is Berkshire Hathaway, BRK. Now there's 2 kinds of BRK. The A shares, which are very expensive, and the B shares. The B shares are just a smaller chunk of an A. For example, there's about $300,000 for an A share. The B shares are 1/1500th. So if you have for example, about $200, you can buy a B share, and that's 1/1500th of an A. And so if you've got $1,000, you can invest and buy 5 shares of Berkshire Hathaway. Now, the reason that this one does better than most other companies is that Warren Buffett and his team have handpicked the different companies that they wanted to be able to buy. Berkshire Hathaway is basically a big insurance company. As an insurance company, like a car company, like Geico, it brings in money today. If you are making payments on your auto insurance, you're making payments on a yearly basis or a monthly basis, and that all comes into Geico Insurance. And they have all this money that comes in, and then occasionally there's an accident where they have to pay money out. So they make money as an insurance company. But more than that is that they have $115 billion of money under float, which is money that's come in that they're holding in reserve that eventually they'll have to pay out in claims. But they get to invest that money. So they basically have a zero cost. It doesn't cost them anything. They're not borrowing that money. They're just holding it in reserve, and they get to invest in these great companies. So they have basically a zero cost. Now, what's great about Berkshire Hathaway, it's a stock. Just like if you bought McDonald's or if you bought Burger King or Nike or GM, it's a stock. So you can buy a single share of stock and there's no management fees. You can go to Fidelity or any of these other companies, Schwab, and you can buy 1,000 or 100,000 or $1 million of Berkshire Hathaway stock, and the total commission is $4.95, and there's no money under management. Whereas if you buy a mutual fund and you have these professional money managers manage it, it's going to cost 2 to 3% every year, which can eat up your returns very quickly. So if you want to do very well in the stock market, what I suggest is that you go online. YouTube's a great place. Oh, and while you're here at YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our channel so that we can give you more great classes like this. But simply search Warren Buffett and follow Warren Buffett and learn about Warren Buffett. He's the perfect role model to teach you about investing. And this is what I do. This is how I've learned a lot from him. You can actually watch the annual reports that are all streamed on Yahoo as well. But that's what I would do. Buy the S&P 500, the 500 biggest companies. I wouldn't buy as many mutual funds, but I would buy a lot of Berkshire Hathaway just because of the cost to be able to do that. Again, this is Tom Painter. I hope that helps. We'll have some more classes on investing. So make sure that you do this. Make sure that you like us and share this with others. If you only give one thing to somebody you love, money or knowledge, what are you going to give them? You're going to give them the knowledge. So please share this with other people if you would, please. So go out there, make a difference, make it happen. Every life is precious. Thanks for watching.